All right, we're moving on to the next speaker. It's Anebygd. He's CEO of Netmore, and he's right and ready to get up on stage. And Netmore is an IoT operator that drives digitalization by connecting properties to a property network. It also provides open access 5G networks to asset owners and enables IoT connectivity by rolling out nationwide LORAWAN, you better pronounce it better than I do, infrastructure. The stage is yours.
Thank you so much. Yes, good morning, ladies, gentlemen, and audience joining digitally. Nice to be here today. My name, as said, is Anebygd. I'm a long-timer in telecom. I spent some 25 years in telecom, as well as specializing in digitization, IoT, and lately 5G. Joined Netmore some 1 year ago, as the CEO to move this company into the future. Now, the real IoT, the Internet of Things, is really here. The statistics and the data you see on the screen is saying that 127 devices are connected every second. That is the IoT as it is today. We started to talk about IoT some 20 years ago. I think the expression was actually created in 1999. And of course, IoT has progressed, and we have been talking a lot of what is it really. I mean, I think lately now with 5G is about self-driving cars and what have you. But IoT is much more than that. And I think the real and important thing here is that IoT is happening now. I think the number speaks for itself. Now, what do we do in Netmore? Well, we are an IoT operator. So we operate different networks. And I think this is kind of a key message. There are a lot of different networks. I mean, of course, we hear about, every day, the mobile networks, the 3G network, 4G network, 5G networks. But we operate a number of different networks, not necessarily owned by ourselves. Because the trick here is to have an open ecosystem where we can have partners having networks operated by us. So as an example, a property is a network. Inside the property, there's a network. It has to be operated by someone. Used to be an IT technician that run around and fix things, but those days are coming to an end because there are so many things connected in a property that must be managed. It could be, the business automation system with heating, ventilation, air condition, elevators, fire alarms, everything to new sensors, digital locks, etc. That has to be connected and connected in a secure way. And cybersecurity is definitely one very important part in this. Today there is a lot of stuff in a property that is connected, but in a way that no one really controls. And that's where Netmore comes into play. We connect all this into one point, one node, and in a secure way. But IoT is also in the society in like a larger context. And there are sensors and will be sensors everywhere. And these are good stuff for the development of society. You could say that, like asset tracking, where do things go and why do they disappear? It could be waste management, energy optimization, flooding control, and forest fires could be detected. All this is about Internet of Things. That's a network that we're building with a partner. So we are covering 80% of the Swedish population within a month by end of this year. So we see that anything that could and should be connected can be connected through the network that Netmore operates. And finally, the big hype, which is 5G. Everyone talks about 5G. And 5G is great. And 5G is kind of built in the macro network, as we speak. However, there are challenges to get 5G to reach indoor due to the high frequency bands that are used. And the fact is that 75% of all the traffic of mobile phone usage is happening indoor. So therefore, Netmore has specialized to be an operator of indoor 5G network. And it's a good opportunity because 5G brings an architecture that provides the possibility for having one network, a neutral host network that all operators can connect to. Now, before going in a little bit more into those details, there are a few trends that are important. Digitization, and I think the previous speaker pushed that very clearly as well, is a good thing. From a sustainability point of view, there are so many use cases that deliver good things to continue that work to improve environment and sustainability in the society. Cybersecurity, I think you all heard lately in media about the breaches and ransom attacks, etc. That will continue. That will continue as we speak every day. And the more we digitize, the more we expose ourselves to the risk to be attacked. And that's where we need to protect ourselves from the very start. And 5G is, we used to say that 4G was the mobile internet for individuals, for us as people, and 5G is the internet of things. But 5G will also be the internet for people, because we will demand more bandwidth as we go along, and that's why the indoor coverage will be important. And over time, it might even replace the Wi-Fi, because 5G is a kind of controlled radio spectrum which can guarantee service level agreements in terms of performance and characteristics that Wi-Fi is more like a best effort from the internet era. So that's why 5G is also pushing very hard, and for a good reason. Now, moving into the three areas, starting with property. So for most properties are kind of not connected. The tenants are connected. We residents or enterprise commercial buildings, there are a lot of networks and we are using the internet, but the property itself, it's not connected. And that's the opportunity for Netmore. We will make sure that properties get connected in a secure way, in a cyber secure way, and by so connecting the equipment and different digital automation systems, we can operate these buildings remotely. You don't have to send people to every single building to do maintenance work. You can monitor the building remotely, monitor energy consumption, lower energy consumption, which is of course super important. But also in that context, find a way to improve the net operating income of the building, which in its turn increase the valuation of the building. So here is where digitization improves the profitability, valuation, and create something good for the environment and sustainable way forward in managing a building. We have built a platform, a modular platform, which connects the building and then allows all application suppliers, application developers to connect, so that we can create an ecosystem inside the building, but also to operate the building in a secure way. The IoT network, and it pronounces LoRaWAN, right? Long range wide area network. It's a technology that we have chosen. We are fairly agnostic about technology because it's not that one technology will fix everything. And I think that is also a key message from us here today, that we are utilizing the best technology suited for the purpose. In these IoT networks, you want to connect sensors and a lot of different sensors, but it has to be in a hassle-free way. And sensors today is like this size, like an ice cream stick, with a battery time of some 10 to 20 years. And that sensor could measure temperature, humidity, CO2, it could measure presence, movements, etc. And these sensors could kind of be applicable for so many different use cases. I mentioned some in the beginning, but we have a very good example like waste management. If you see these waste bins, there are sensors that will measure the full kind of the fulfill or the full what do you say the amount of waste that is in the bin, and then they will send the people to collect the bins in the right order with the bins which are full, and then saving the environment, saving resources, and actually making people doing a more efficient job. It could also be water metering, which is a super important use case. In the Swedish water system, there is a leakage of 25 to 30% of water that are not measured due to old meters and networks that are not kind of proving it's correct in the way it's built. So by detecting the water consumption for each household, we could easily then spot where is the water leaking. Also a very good way to protect our environment. There is, I said, asset tracking. There is a lot of things disappearing, and that could be everything from, the easiest thing you could think of, like whatever transportations, but also to valuable assets, and all this could be detected by these sensors that we put on this equipment. Network is together with one of our partners, Polar Structure, building this network in Sweden, and then enabling anyone to connect their sensors in whatever business they wish. And that is a very good opportunity to digitize the society together with anyone that wants to be part of it. So moving into 5G, the big hype. Here, as I said, there is a kind of always looking forward, of course. There is a 5G network, there is a 6G network coming around the corner eventually, etc. But 5G is providing a lot of characteristics that we couldn't see before. For sure, it's high bandwidth. You could actually compare 5G with fiber, like a virtualized fiber. That's the capacity it provides. By doing, or to ensure that, you need to kind of get up in frequencies. And now it's getting technical here, but when you get it up to that 3.6 or even 22 gigahertz, what is it called? Then the penetration through concrete and glass is very limited. So typically, with the 5G network outside here in Stockholm, we would not have 5G signal inside this room. That's the problem. So we need to build indoor coverage. And that's a good opportunity for all the property owners to step into this ecosystem, to provide the opportunity to build one network that all operators in the macro network, in the outside network, can connect to. That will save resources, it will save cost, and it will provide a perfect environment for everyone that works in these buildings. 5G, sometimes we say these are use cases for the industry, for the mining and whatever that should be remotely controlled. But there is one industry that we tend to forget, which is the office environment. That's also an industry where we have our laptops and our iPads and iPhones and so. And that kind of industry craves a lot of bandwidth. Today we have multiple Wi-Fi networks and we're seeking new passwords and so. With 5G, outdoor, indoor, that will be a seamless experience. We can travel wherever, not searching for a Wi-Fi network, but have a high performance bandwidth to our device. So our task here in Netmore is to be the operator of these indoor 5G networks, and of course together complementing the Telias of the world that runs the network outside the buildings. The business we are now setting up is a recurring revenue business. That's the only business that we're looking for. So taking it from the left, every sensor will generate a traffic fee per month that goes to Netmore. So that will be a number of kronor per month per sensor and a battery lifetime of 10 to 20 years. So that's the recurring business that will occur. And it will be millions of sensors connected. The gateways, which is the antennas or the radio kind of equipment, also needs operation maintenance on the monthly recurring revenue base. And the same goes into properties. We will connect properties, we will operate them, and will, this property owner will subscribe to the service of cybersecurity, even their sensors, but also other services like broadband internet. It could be data collection from the existing IT systems in the building. And finally, 5G, same. 5G network, we're going to operate them, and we're going to charge that on a monthly basis. And of course, these networks will remain for a very, very long time. And looking into the future, it's the indoor networks that will have a very important role. That is for sure. And outdoor, of course, there are these generations of mobile network as well as fiber, super important, but the indoor networks are key for the future. So how do we go about this? Well, we're building a strong company financially. We have a joint venture with a partner called Polar Structure. They finance the build out of the networks where we don't have networks. Where there are networks, we're kind of tagging along, and we're complementing with our own network together with Polar Networks or Polar Structure. We have a strategic, very important owner called Buildroyd, which is a number of the biggest property companies in Sweden. Netmore is actually majority owned and controlled by property companies. So we're kind of serving their interest very much by so. We have recently have a directed equity issues to Polar as well as SBB, which you probably heard of, a very large property company. And we have an ongoing preferential right issue that will happen late this year. And by so, we are financed to set this up for a monthly recurring business, because that's our objective. We know it takes some efforts to set up because we don't have any upfront cash payments, but we are financially strong back to set that business model up. Some key milestones for this year. I mentioned the network, IoT network, is complete this year in Sweden. We're now moving into UK and Ireland, targeting the same ambition. We have already successfully created organic growth in the IoT. We can see that the number of sensors are increasing every quarter. So that's nothing we sell. We don't sell the sensors. We don't create or develop sensors. We don't sell the applications, but they log on to our network, and business starts to increase organically. We have some good breakthrough business with property companies like Kappman, Nordic, large property company where we digitize their buildings. Same with Diös in North Sweden, where we're going to introduce what's called individual metering, so that every tenant will pay for their electricity and the water consumption and hot water consumption. Also super important to make people aware of how much they consume, and of course pay for it. And lately also with Randviken, that is now purchasing properties to digitally renovate them and try to increase the value rapidly. First 5G indoor network is in progress in Stockholm and Copenhagen. So you will hear more about that once we get in operations. And as I said, we have strong new owners coming on board. So to wrap up, I would say that we are uniquely positioned, a powerful position and structure. And we have strategic capital, not only the capital as such, but also the buildings coming in with these new owners and existing owners. We are managing networks. We don't necessarily own other networks, but we are the operator of many, many networks, and more to come. Of course, we see the trends backing us, and we're happy to see that we have successfully now started the business model by recurring revenues, which is key for the valuation of Netmore to come. and already seeing a organic growth in one important area. So I'm looking forward to the future and very positive to our progress so far. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much, Jove. I'd like to ask you to elaborate a little bit more about the 5G indoor market. Could you just give us a little bit of a forecasting of the trajectory here? Because this sounds very interesting. And also, how about competition in this field?
Well, as I said, the 5G indoor, I mean, not everyone knows that, as I said, 75% of all the mobile traffic happens indoor. And of course, once we go indoor, we normally switch to Wi-Fi, right? And that's kind of a best effort technology. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. Now, post-pandemic, hopefully, we see this working behavior and pattern continue where we will trust that we have good internet connection and reliable, right? And 5G will provide that. 5G is kind of managed, kind of, radio technology that can provide the best quality and ensure quality in all the kind of digital applications that we're utilizing. With that comes, of course, new applications that we haven't seen yet. That could be virtual reality, augmented reality, that will demand a lot of bandwidth. So there is a huge need for 5G, and we see that to make this happen in a successful way, we need to fix the indoor 5G coverage quickly.
Well, thank you for elaborating a bit on this. Next step for you, what is the next move from your side?
Is to connect more properties, to build more networks, and actually following our strategy. We set the strategy a year ago, and I see that it's starting to pay off already now. So we're keeping on doing what we are set to do.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Jove.
Thank you.
Thank you.